city of Enugu, there lived a 40-year-old single Igbo lady named Ada. Ada was a hardworking and diligent woman who had dedicated her life to serving others. She worked as a housekeeper for several families in the city, ensuring that their homes were always spotless and well-maintained. Despite her tireless efforts, Ada was never paid for her services. The families she worked for would often promise to compensate her, but they never fulfilled their promises. Ada would cry herself to sleep at night, feeling exploited and unappreciated. One day, as Ada was cleaning the house of one of her clients, she stumbled upon a pair of underwear that belonged to the lady of the house. As she picked it up, an idea struck her. She realized that she could use the underwear to manipulate the lives of the people she worked for. Ada began to collect the underwear of her clients, hiding them away in a secret place. She would then use the underwear to perform rituals and incantations, seeking to gain control over the lives of her clients. As time passed, strange things began to happen in the lives of the people Ada worked for. They would experience strange occurrences and mishaps, and they would often find themselves facing unexpected challenges and difficulties. Ada's clients were unaware of the fact that she was using their underwear to manipulate their lives. They would often attribute their misfortunes to bad luck or coincidence. But Ada knew the truth, and she reveled in the power and control she had gained over the people she worked for. One day, as Ada was walking along the riverbank, she decided to fetch some water from the river. As she bent down to fill her clay pot, she noticed a sudden ripple in the water. The river's surface began to churn and foam, and a figure emerged from the depths. Ada gasped as she beheld the river goddess, Idemalai, standing before her. Idemalai's presence was both captivating and intimidating. Her long, flowing hair seemed to flow like the river itself, and her eyes sparkled with an otherworldly light. Ada felt a shiver run down her spine as the goddess spoke in a voice that echoed like the river's gentle flow. Ada, daughter of the land, I have watched you from the depths of my domain. I have seen your struggles, your desires, and your actions. You have walked a path that is fraught with danger, using the intimate garments of others to manipulate their lives. Ada felt a surge of fear mixed with shame as she realized that the goddess knew her deeper secrets. She fell to her knees, pleading for mercy and forgiveness. Idemalai's expression remained enigmatic, but her voice took on a hint of curiosity. Tell me, Ada, what drives you to seek power and control over others? Is it not enough to live a simple life, free from the burdens of manipulation and deceit? Ada poured out her heart, sharing her frustrations, her desires, and her fears. She spoke of her struggles to make ends meet, of her desire for financial security, and of her need for respect and recognition. Idemalai listened attentively, her gaze piercing but not unkind. When Ada finished speaking, the goddess nodded thoughtfully. I can offer you a way to achieve your desires, Ada, but it will come at a steep price. If you can bring me the underwear of those who possess power, wealth, and influence, I will grant you riches beyond your wildest dreams. Ada's eyes widened as she considered the goddess's offer. She thought of the wealthy businessmen, the influential politicians, and the high society women who possessed the very things she desired. What do I need to do? Ada asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Idemalai's smile was both captivating and unsettling. I will give you a small token, a charm that will allow you to collect the underwear of those you desire. But be warned, Ada, the power comes with a price. You will be bound to me, and you will be forced to serve me for eternity. Ada hesitated, weighing the risks and benefits. She thought of her current life, of the struggles and hardships she faced every day. She thought of the promise of wealth and power, of the respect and recognition she so desperately desired. With a deep breath, Ada made her decision. I accept your offer, Idemalai. I will bring you the underwear of those who possess power, wealth, and influence. As soon as the words left her lips, the river's surface began to churn and foam once more. Idemalai vanished into the depths, leaving Ada alone on the riverbank. But Ada was not alone for long. A small, delicate charm appeared in her hand, glowing with an otherworldly light. Ada knew that her life was about to change forever. She was now bound to the river goddess, forced to serve her for eternity. But she also knew that she had been given a rare gift. Ada's life took a dramatic turn after she accepted the river goddess's offer. With the small, delicate charm in hand, Ada began to collect the underwear of those who possessed power, wealth, and influence. She would sneak into their homes, using her charm to guide her and retrieve the intimate garments. As Ada delivered the underwear to the river goddess, she began to notice a change in her fortunes. Money started to flow into her life, and she found herself surrounded by luxury she had never imagined. The river goddess had kept her promise, making Ada rich beyond her wildest dreams. But as Ada basked in her newfound wealth, a new development emerged. A young, handsome pastor named Uche began to visit Ada, expressing his desire to marry her. Ada was taken aback by the pastor's advances, but she couldn't deny the strong attraction she felt towards him. As Ada and Uche's relationship deepened, Ada found herself falling deeply in love with the pastor. She had never felt this way before, and she couldn't help but wonder if she had finally found her soulmate. But one night, as Ada lay asleep, the river goddess appeared to her in a dream. Idemali's presence was as captivating as ever, but her eyes seemed to burn with an inner fire. Ada, daughter of the land, the river goddess warned, do not think of marrying this pastor. He is not for you. If you marry him, you will lose everything I have given you. You will lose your wealth, your status, and your power. Ada was taken aback by the river goddess's warning. She had never thought that her relationship with Uche would be a problem. But as she looked into Idemali's burning eyes, she knew that she had to make a choice. As the wedding day approached, Ada's excitement grew. She had chosen to follow her heart and marry the pastor, despite the river goddess's warning. Uche, the pastor, was overjoyed, and the two of them made final preparations for their big day. On the morning of the wedding, the atmosphere was electric. Friends and family gathered at the church, eager to witness the union of Ada and Uche. But just as the ceremony was about to begin, a sudden commotion erupted outside. The river goddess, Idemali, appeared in all her fury. Her eyes blazed with anger, and her presence seemed to shake the very foundations of the church. She was determined to stop the wedding and kill the pastor. You foolish mortal, Idemali spat, her voice like thunder. You think you can defy me and marry this man? I will show you the true meaning of power. The congregation cowered in fear as Idemali raised her hands, summoning a torrent of water to destroy the church. But Uche, the pastor, stood firm, his eyes shining with faith. We will not be intimidated, he declared, his voice ringing out across the church. We will pray to our God, and he will deliver us. The congregation joined Uche in prayer, their voices rising in a crescendo of faith. As they prayed, a mighty power began to stir. The air seemed to vibrate with the presence of God, and Idemali's fury began to wane. Suddenly, a blinding light filled the church, and Idemali let out a deafening scream. The river goddess was consumed by the light, and her form began to dissolve. The congregation watched in awe as Idemali disappeared into nothingness. But as the light faded, Ada realized that something was wrong. She looked down at her hands, and they were no longer adorned with the expensive jewelry she had worn just moments before. She looked around, and the luxurious clothes she had worn were gone, replaced by a simple white dress. It dawned on Ada that she had lost everything the river goddess had given her. The wealth, the status, the power, all of it was gone. She was left with nothing but the pastor, Uche. As the reality of her situation sunk in, Ada felt a pang of fear. How would she survive without the river goddess's gifts? But as she looked into Uche's eyes, she saw a love and a commitment that went far beyond material wealth. After Ada gave her life to Christ, she felt a deep sense of conviction and remorse for her past actions. She realized that collecting people's underwear to manipulate their lives was a sinful and hurtful behavior. She knew that she had to make amends and seek forgiveness from those she had harmed. Ada began by confessing her sins to Uche, her husband, and seeking his counsel on how to make things right. Uche, being a man of God, encouraged Ada to pray and seek God's guidance on how to restore the lives of those she had affected. Ada spent many days in prayer and fasting, seeking God's forgiveness and guidance. She also began to reach out to the families whose underwear she had collected, confessing her sins and asking for their forgiveness. The families were shocked and hurt by Ada's confession, but as they saw the genuine remorse in her eyes, they began to forgive her. They realized that Ada had been deceived by the river goddess and that she had been acting out of desperation and ignorance. As Ada continued to seek forgiveness and restoration, she began to notice a change in the lives of the families she had affected. They began to experience a newfound sense of peace and prosperity, and their lives began to flourish once more. "I am sorry, Ada," Uche said, taking her hand. "I know you lost a lot, but I promise you, our love will be enough. We will face whatever challenges come our way, together." Ada smiled, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that she had made the right choice. She had chosen love over power, and she was ready to face whatever the future held. Thank you for watching this amazing story.